I wanted to help someone who was going on a client meeting for their recruitment client, and I went with them. I recorded secretly so I could show you guys exactly what happened and what ended up happening. Now, there were some twisty turns. There were some questions asked, and I know it will be of benefit to you guys. So hopefully you benefit, take it all in, understand it all, understand. If I didn't know this stuff, I would never put myself in a situation where I go on a client meeting with someone if I wasn't good at this. So hopefully you guys find benefit, and yeah, watch until the end. All right, just to let you know, Anne was running late, and the meeting's in, 3 minutes. So Anne, well, you better hurry up. I'm on time, and I'm just outside the company, to be fair, and Anne was running late. So yeah, I'm gonna record when we go inside into the meeting, and hopefully keep you guys updated to what goes on, and hopefully you can see me in action in the meeting. Check this though, yeah? So as soon as we go in, the woman comes, puts out her hand, she goes, "Oh, welcome out." I was like, "Oh, sorry, we don't shake hands with, we don't shake hands with women."
And what did she say?
Man, she went a little bit red. She went a little bit red.
Yeah,
she went a little bit, but she was a bit.
But then I think, once we started talking,
this is the main thing.
More comfortable.
Honestly, in that moment, you. It's fine, innit? Just say, "Oh, look, we don't shake hands, whatever. It's cool, okay?" But then actually, when she speaks to you and she understands all the normal guys,
She will definitely.
And so that's the main thing. As the meeting went on, I think she felt she warmed up. She not even warmed up. I don't think she was upset. I don't think she was upset. I think it was just a case that it was I
think maybe she was a bit surprised, innit? Because obviously she's used to people coming to the office.
Yeah.
But then maybe
But the worst thing is, as soon as we leave,
as
we leave, we shake the guy's hand. Sorry, and you said your name was
Jay.
Jay. Yeah. Musa. Okay. Anwar, what sort of what difficulties do you find with the guys that? Thank you so much. That either you get in or
Inexperience.
What are your problems at the moment?
It's normally inexperience. So we get guys that come in, everybody talks the talk in the interview, and then we're realising once they're in that they're not quite as experienced as they might have said. But what we started doing is a small exam paper for interviews, just based on gas knowledge, just to see where they're at and what they actually know. But that's the only real problem we've had, isn't it? Is the lack of experience. Yeah.
All right, tell me, what do you think were the good parts in that meeting? What did you derive from it?
So alhamdulillah, first of all, I'm quite happy to see that they actually are happy in terms of the people that we found for them, especially with one of the guys that we found for them. We mentioned that he's been the best guy that I have so far in so long time. So alhamdulillah, it was good to hear that feedback.
Let me give you an understanding to why I said certain things, and they are going to be looking for people in what are we, June, so July, 2 months time. Yeah, that is when they will need people, right? And so he basically said 3 to 4 people, right? So for me, it's important then to let them know. What did I say? I explained to them how our process works. I said, fine, you need people in 2 months, but if we can get the ball rolling today, for example, we can start looking for people, and if we find someone good, we'll send them to you. And you should hire them, because for you the most important thing is experience. They kept saying that the most important thing for them was experience. So when we then have that conversation with them and say, "Oh, this guy looks really, really good, you should interview them," they cannot turn around to you now when you're on the phone to them and say, "This guy looks really good, you should interview them." They can't turn around to you and say no, because in this meeting they have said explicitly, experience is most important, and as long as the guy is good, that's what we want.
Exactly.
Right? And so you're basically, let's say they're looking for 4 people now, for example, you're basically guaranteeing that money for yourself, inshallah. Why? Because you're starting the process today. No one even knows that they're going to be looking for 4 people. You have now 2 months, and now you could actually next week even send them a CV, and as long as that person is really, really good, say, by the way, you should interview him. Why don't you do this? I'm sending him today, interview him next week, and you can get him to start in 2 weeks time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But it means that you're getting more and more placements under your belt. Does that make sense?
And I think they're quite open to having that experienced person, as they said, right?
Yeah.
And they don't even mind paying whatever he deserves or she deserves, right? So I think it was actually quite good to hear that they're willing to go above and beyond, just as long as they have the right person in the right team.
Yeah. What is the sort of next 2-3 months looking like for you guys?
It's a productivity thing at the minute, so we're looking to. If people can't keep up with the productivity side of it, then we're going to be letting people go. So there could be some spaces coming up, but
especially with winter coming up, to work out, do we need more, do we not need more?
So is it a case, is it a case where it's that's when the busy time comes, and you need people in before that, so they're ready to go for September?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, October onwards is when it starts to get really busy, so we'll be looking sort of September to start bringing people in, and then by then we would have figured out who we're trying to get rid of essentially. So then there'd probably be 2 to 4 spaces really at that on average.
You mentioned productivity. It's important for me to ask this question. By the way, my job here really is to make sure that we're dealing with all the problems that you guys have, if any, and how we can solve those and in essence make our lives easier as well as yours, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned the productivity thing. So what is it in terms of how do you measure that productivity?
So basically they're expected to complete 6 to 8 jobs a day.
Okay.
And they potentially could have 12 jobs on them in that day.
That's interesting because actually what we will do on our side then is a lot of these guys are very familiar with the work, and so when you ask them the question of like how many jobs do you complete at the moment, or
They know.
they know,
Yeah.
right? And so we then know, so we are wary of who they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like if you're having this problem at the moment, we can actually deal with it at the front rather than you guys having to deal with this 2 months down the line. Did you feel like we were asking them for business?
Sir.
Did it feel very equal? Did we feel like we were in control of the meeting? Like how did that feel? Like in terms of just how did it feel? How do you think I set the tone in the meeting?
So first of all, the tone was quite friendly, alhamdulillah, and the client was quite open to like obviously like giving us the information that we need as an agency to sort of work with them in the future.
Yeah.
And mashallah, it was quite transparent. It was quite calm. A bit of banter back and forth as well, alhamdulillah. Like it was quite chill basically. That's what I would say, right?
The reason I asked that because most people when they go into a client meeting, they're very scared. They're nervous, basically, right? Did you feel like we felt like we needed their business, or was it more like we're providing a service?
Sir.
We are providing a service,
Sir.
and if we need to ask you questions in an appropriate manner or ask the right questions
Sir.
to deliver a good service to you.
Absolutely.
that
Very
make
good question,
sense?
by the way. Absolutely. Very good question, by the way. And basically, they needed us more than we needed them.
Yeah.
100%. And because they were the ones that obviously give us all the information that we need to work with them.
Yeah.
I think we didn't obviously come across a bit too needy or whatever. Like we were there to help them out, obviously, and because we did address their pain points and sort of obviously worked out the areas that we can sort of help them out in.
For us, the most important thing and one of the main things we want to get out of meetings like this is understanding exactly what your problems are, understanding exactly what we can do better, and maybe what others aren't doing. I think that's the whole point. Sorry, how many agencies do you usually work with?
Well, so at the minute we've got you, we've got I think we're with.
Oh yeah, okay.
You two are our 2 main ones, if I'm honest with you.
And when sort of the need arises, what sort of turnaround period do you usually need?
It's normally quite fast paced, so I'll be at my desk and I'll be like, we need an engineer, and
Right,
it's
okay.
like whatever CVs we get through, they are quite good. Normally, if I do send a good CV, they want an interview by like the end of the week or the following week at the latest.
What we try to do obviously also is like we'll take references on candidates because
Do you do DBS checks?
we don't, but we can.
That's another really big thing.
We had a few issues with people that came in.
We'll have a list of people that we know are not good, basically, right? And it will be a case of we'll get, is this person in that list, and if that person isn't in that list, then obviously we know something.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised. Some people will just even like change a letter in their name or do something. Listen, the fact is, and is it just the permanent side, or do you sort of need someone on a temporary basis as well? How does that work?
Subbies. So we do subbies. Morning. At the minute we've got 3. Sorry, in the winter we've got 3, and in the winter we have 7 or 8. But they are purely down for servicing because subbies cost money. So
For them, I guess like our aim was for that client to feel like we are doing them a favor. We are coming, and our way of asking questions was more, I need to ask you these questions because I need to provide a good service to you. And I kept saying that, right? I kept saying, look, don't mind me asking this question, but it's important for me to make sure that I provide a good service to you and I understand exactly what's going wrong for you and the problems that you're facing, right? I said that. Now, the reason I said that is because they have to understand that me getting all this information is only going to help me in providing a good service to them. They would have left that meeting saying they have really understood our business, they know exactly what we need, they've really understood everything, and they are our guys, right? Because we understood their problems, their pain points, and they know we can now. Because look, you know what the worst thing is? When you go to a doctor and he doesn't even know what's wrong with you, and you feel like he hasn't diagnosed you properly, you come home and you still feel like the doctor, he hasn't given me time. Doesn't actually know what is wrong with me, right? You can sometimes feel like that.
Absolutely.
When the doctor asks you questions, checks everything, make sure he's done everything, and then says nothing's wrong, for example, you feel safe. You're like, yeah, you know what, nothing probably is wrong. right? And the same way, when we really ask all the questions, when we really derive all the information, when we take everything in, then the client thinks these guys know what they're on about. These guys now know exactly what we need. And that is the point of the client meeting. And again, trying to work out a solution, but how do you payroll subbies? How does that work? How does the subby side work?
So with the guys that we contracted, and it's an hourly rate or annual rates, but with the subbies, it's per job. So if they go to a job that's a no access, they don't think they get anything, do they? And they don't get nothing for that.
So this is my question. Rather than having a subby who does it that way, would it not make sense to have a contract of 3 months? It's a question I'm asking.
I mean, that could potentially work over the winter, but it would probably be more on like a 6-month basis rather than, because it would have to be, say, October to April.
Again, we've recruited on all 3 avenues, right? And the one thing that we find is something that I brought up, which is, do you find that, you know, they don't feel like there's that much loyalty to the company, which is obviously a
there
problem.
There isn't, not with subbies, and that's the point. They buy their own van, they got their own tools and
but
stuff.
Then
so
we've got Emmanuel, and he's been a subby for like 10
20
years.
years, and he's been
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I said, on the service in there fine, but it's more with breakdowns. They tend to rush it because they don't want to spend the whole hour on the job because they're only getting the £20-30. So
Sure.
they want to go in, diagnose real quick and go. And we did have quite a few problems where it was misdiagnosed, so we had to redo it again, which is just time, labour and expense all out again. So tend to avoid subbies, in the summer anyway, but I would prefer someone on a permanent contract than you have more control as well, because if a subby goes off sick, he goes off sick.
I guess what we can do is, if we ever come across someone who, and there are people that obviously do it on contract basis, you know, they'll get paid into their own limited company, therefore obviously they, you know, end up making a little bit more anyway. There are people there, at least we can then just keep that on our books, and if that conversation we need to have in 3-4 months time,
Subcontractors is a win. Yeah, it's a winner.
then we can have that conversation.
They'll definitely be recruited in the winter.
Again, because you're very busy, does it not make sense to get someone who is the odd, train them up and then get them going?
Yeah, but we don't have the that's the problem. I don't have the time to train somebody up, especially in the winter. That's because the jobs are too fast paced. So
Sure.
and they're coming in all through the day as well. So for the next line, for every single day, they are fully booked up.
And is there a probation period sort of thing? Because you mentioned something about productivity.
6 months. 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
6 months probation, and is that a case of like a 1 week, 1 month notice, or? So we have an idea, and I asked this question. So we have an idea on how to keeping an eye on the candidate side. 2 to 4 you mentioned. Any ideas in specific, or is that sort of an open thing at the moment?
It would purely depend on the volume of work. So ideally, I don't really want more than 10, just for my own financial budgets. But when the winter comes, I will take on more if I have to. So if we got too much work coming in, then I need somebody, and that is just the company accept it, and we have to move on with it. But preferably, I don't want more than 10 really.
Okay.
Because when I sit in the financial meetings, it doesn't look pretty.
Okay. Is there anything else that we can do to make your lives easier? Is there something that
No, you guys are really on the ball with stuff, I think, yeah.
do you find you get a lot of no-shows at interviews, or?
No, not really.
Many, we've had one or
We've
two
had one or
maybe,
two.
but
Okay.
you sort of get the sense when you speak to the person before that they have more than one option going on. You know, like because if they're not readily available for an interview, then they have options. You can sort of tell that.
In terms of the experience, if someone had a lot of experience and was 40, would you prefer that person or someone who has 3, 4, 5 years decent and 35? What is priority
The
to you?
experience is fine. I'm not really bothered about their age at all. Yeah.
Not the age, sorry, I meant the salary, 35, 40.
Oh well. Yeah.
I can't ask questions like that, to be fair.
35 for 3 to 5 years experience. Yeah, I mean that would be better.
Okay.
But if there is somebody that's like 15 years experience and they're worth the money, then we'll pay.
It, yeah.
That is that simple. I mean, it is if they have got all what we need, then they'll get whatever.
Okay. It's important for me to understand priority lists and stuff, which is fair enough, right?
Yeah, it's purely based on experience. So the more experience they have, the more they can potentially ask for. It's as simple.
But in an ideal world, you would like to keep people around that 35 mark.
Ideally,
and
obviously
5
finance
years
is less is better for us.
You know, at the point when I asked that question of you need people with experience, fine, okay, but let me give you an option and say, you know, would you rather have someone at 35k experience with 5 years experience, or would you rather have someone at 40k with tons and tons of experience, right? Surprisingly, he turned around and he said 35k. even
Yeah.
though in that meeting all they kept emphasizing was experience. But as soon as I gave him 2 options, he went for the one which was less experience,
Sir.
but the money was less.
Sir.
Because maybe he's saying something which is this is important, this is important, this is important, but actually something else is more important as well.
Sir.
So it's very evident that he does want people around the 35, 36 mark.
Sir.
So if you can get someone around the 35k, the 36k, that is important for him.
With some experience as well, sir.
With the experience,
Sir.
right? But I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you have someone with 10 years experience
Sir.
and he's costing £40,000 a year, and if you have someone at 35,000,
Sir.
right, with 5 years experience, he's taking the 5 years experience.
And I think as well that, you know, they actually did mention a good point as well, whereby they were quite open to sort of increasing their salary after, you know, that probation period, right? Of
Yeah.
6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that it's going to be 35k forever, is it? It's-
Yeah. I guess for us, if we have an option out of 10 people to get you 3 candidates, obviously then there's a lower ratio of that person being amazing. But if
Yeah.
we have time, then it
Then
means
yeah,
that
you can find a better.
then we, it's like we can get the best people because we've got time, and so we'll have we can get like out of 50 people, we can try getting 3 people, which is obviously chances are they'll be a lot better, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You said you want them in starting roughly in September time. Any idea when you would want to maybe, if there was someone really good in, for example, August, would you interview that person and then with a view to maybe?
Always happy to interview, because
Okay.
you never know. Like you
Yeah.
said, people's availability could change, but or if there's a candidate that's worth it, we're always happy to interview.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because that happens, right? Someone leaves their job, they're out of a
And you
job.
can't guarantee what time that's going to happen.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't want to lose somebody good.
Because-
on a basis that we're a month behind. No, I would happily interview, so it's not a problem.
Great. So I guess what I'm saying is we know that you need people for September, but if in that meantime we get someone decent
You
popping
get a
up,
golden
Send them
candidate come
over,
through,
yeah.
and send it through.
we'll
Yeah, no
have
problem.
we'll have that conversation. And
No
then,
problem.
I think that makes sense for us and then yourselves as well.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Cool. Amazing. Do you guys have any questions for us? I know. Look, you guys are probably very busy and we don't want to take too much
Not
time.
really. No.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
Well, you've sort of covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not.
Yeah, look, I guess for us the most important thing is if there are any problems, how we can solve them. I know, look, to give you guys an idea, I've been in recruitment for 11 plus years. I know the problems that clients have, no shows, people turning up. We'll have a list of people that we know are not good, basically, right? And it will be a case of we'll get, is this person in that list, and if that person isn't in that list, then obviously we know sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, some people will just even like change a letter in their name or do something. Listen, the tactics tactics really exist, right? Honestly. And so you have to be very careful. But look, I really appreciate your time today.
No worries.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming down.
We'll do obviously everything that we can to make sure that you get the best candidates possible. So we'll obviously get the ball rolling on our side.
Yeah.
And if there's ever anything that we can do better or whatever there is, then let us know because it helps us in making sure, I guess, the service is better to you.
Perfect. No
So
problem.
yeah,
No,
no,
you've
listen,
been great so far. So I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys hosting us.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries, guys.
It's your first meeting done now, basically, right?
First meeting done, alhamdulillah.
What were the 3 things
Sir.
that you took from the meeting today?
Mm.
The way I hosted it, the way I asked the questions, the way I maybe did something
Sir.
that you understood and learned that you will use for the next meeting. Maybe something like you can share with what you learned today, basically.
Today, alhamdulillah, I learned obviously how to be concise, how to be clear and articulate, in terms of speaking to the client and being quite transparent and just being honest with the client, right?
Yeah.
That's the first point that I learned. And also the second thing as well that I learned, alhamdulillah, was how to properly close a client. How to make sure that you ask the right questions so that way you can get as much information as possible to obviously help them find those candidates.
Yeah.
Abu Musa, akhi, are you not like jet lag or something? Akhi, like,
Alhamdulillah, bro, we're used to it, man. You know what I mean?
Wallahi, bro, like, I will be like gone by
Bro, put it this way: the last 48 hours,
Sir,
you've
been in 2 countries. Allahumma barik.
I was in Pakistan. went to Dubai.
Allahumma barik.
Bro, I couldn't let you down. You know what I mean?
Wallahi,
I couldn't let you down, bro.
Well, like, you know what it is, Abu Musa, like, I have to put it out there, innit? Allahumma barik first of all, because I know that you've got a lot going on, mashallah, tabarakallah. And actually, for you to even take that time out of your schedule to actually come with me, to see the client and obviously, like, help me out, being my first client I'm actually, working with, alhamdulillah. Wallahi, actually means a lot to me, alhamdulillah. So, wallahi, like, goes to show that Allahumma barik, like, it's not just that, Abu Musa just, doing recruitment or whatever. Like, you're actually helping out the students as well.
Bro, I always say,
Sir.
that as long as the person puts effort in,
Sir.
wallahi, for me, as
Sir.
long as you put in effort,
Sir.
and I can see, like, this guy's not a joke, man, basically,
Sir.
and this guy's trying,
Sir.
right?
Sir.
Bro, I will go over and beyond for you. Like, I don't even care, bro.
Sir.
Like, I'm easy, man, like that. Do you get it?
Allah
The
Akbar.
problem is,
Yeah.
most people just don't put the effort in. You know?
And that's true, okay, subhanallah. And I've seen that, like, you know.
Because
sir,
you know the problem is, I'll tell you
Sir,
what,
sir.
there is a big difference between someone who's putting in effort
Sir.
and then like, bro, I need some help, and
Sir.
someone be like, oh, bro, I just want to speak to you.
Yeah, subhanallah.
You know?
That's
Because
right.
that's then annoying, isn't it? Because it's like, bro,
you know,
like,
exactly. I'm not sure if you actually clocked it, but like, you know, sometimes you see someone, you know, buys the course, yeah, and then just, you know, so start off like, you know, talking about terms and conditions.
Yeah.
But you haven't even got there yet. So
we were talking about it yesterday.
innit?
I know we were talking about it yesterday, innit? In the
Wallahi,
call, yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I told Abu
subhanallah,
Musa
bro.
about it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, and alhamdulillah, like for me, akhi, the way, like, so like, you know, about the course last year, alhamdulillah, bro.
Alhamdulillah.
Back in May, right? So akhi, I thought, you know what? Fail and try. Just keep on failing, keep on taking that L, you know, constant, like, you know, and just figure out as, you know, as time goes on by, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, akhi, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because obviously, like, you know, working full time, etc. But akhi, did that tell me, oh, do you know what, Anwar? Just give up. Because obviously now I'm working 9 to 5, but I barely even have time to even, like, you know, make time for the course, innit? Or for the agency stuff. But akhi, wallahi, it took me 10 months to land my first placement, and it was with this same agent that, you know, this same client that just came from, alhamdulillah, bro.
yeah, wow.
2 lads that actually
So
paid
that,
for them.
so your first placement was after 10 months working part-time.
Sir.
But see, the problem is people will not look, this is, I tell you, this is
Sir.
exactly what happens, right?
Sir,
10 months is a long time.
sir,
You should actually make money before that. Now,
Sir.
whatever, for whatever reason,
Sir.
but you didn't give up.
Sir.
For 10 months, you carried on.
sir.
After working part-time, you got your first client, you made your first placement,
Sir.
right? With this one company, how many placements have you made now?
I've made 2 and then potentially more to come as well, inshallah, in the
Inshallah.
future.
So now you've made 2 placements with this one company,
Sir.
and you've got other companies as well, right?
Alhamdulillah.
So you've made 2 placements with them, but now you've got another 4 placements, inshallah,
Sir.
that could potentially be happening in the next few months,
Sir.
right?
Sir.
Because you didn't give up, bro.
Sir.
And now guess what? You have a light at the end of the tunnel. Like
Oh.
you have basically, you have, I don't know,
Sir.
have you left your job?
Alhamdulillah, akhi, I haven't worked since Ramadan, bro. Alhamdulillah, I'm working full time, bro.
Allahumma barik.
Allahumma barik,
So the
Allahumma
point
barik.
is, you left your job,
Sir.
and now, bro, there's light at the end of the tunnel because you tried, you made an effort, and now
Sir.
today,
Sir.
you will thank yourself so much for putting that effort in, even though it was 10 months. You'll
Sir.
be like, I'm glad I did, bro, because today, alhamdulillah, I'm sitting, like,
Sir.
I'm easy now, innit?
Alhamdulillah, wallahi.
That's the
bro.
main thing.
And akhi, it's so flexible to the point that, you know, for the first time, I think in like 10, 15 years, yeah?
Yeah.
For the first time, akhi, I actually had time, you know, time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like in Ramadan.
Why?
bro.
That's big.
Akhi, I didn't have time when I was working 9 to 5, bro.
Yeah.
Because you know what it is, but I come home, bro, it's 5 or it's what, 5, 6 p.m., bro. Akhi, I'm done, I'm tired, you know what I mean? I can barely even, like, you know, go to the masjid, innit?
Yeah, 100%.
Akhi, this time, wallah, and akhi, subhanallah, it actually even turned out to be the first month, yeah, that I actually did make those 2 placements, alhamdulillah, bro.
And so, alhamdulillah, I think the main thing is, bro, you're doing great. May Allah keep you, you know, give you more, and please make dua for Anwar,
Ameen,
because
ameen,
you know
ameen.
we want the brother to be successful, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Wallah, I
It
appreciate
makes me very happy to see brothers being successful. You know, it's been lovely spending time with you.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah,
Alhamdulillah.
And yeah, man, inshallah we can do this again. Huh?
Yeah, like, subscribe, comment.
Absolutely, man. And I just want to say, you know, obviously before we even conclude, yeah, like you understand, Abu Musa has got a lot on his plate, Allah barik, you know, obviously just came from Dubai yesterday, mashallah. But, you know, for him to take that time to even come and, you know, help me obviously see the client and, you know, talk to the client, like it goes to show that, like, you know, if you put in that effort, Abu Musa is willing to help out. So like it's just, you know, it's up to you to actually decide whether you like, you know, like you want to be successful, and inshallah ta'ala, like, you know, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, you will be successful inshallah ta'ala. But just put in that effort, you know, keep on trying, keep on calling us, you know, making those calls, keep on getting those clients candidates as well, inshallah. And inshallah, may Allah make us all, you know, successful. I mean, inshallah.
Ameen.
And you know, to be honest, man, I just want to add to that, to be fair, that anyone who puts in effort, anyone who tries, anyone who goes and just says, I am trying,
Sir.
bro, I will help you. You know what I
Sir,
mean?
sir.
This, we're recording, you know, it's on a video, cool, whatever sort of thing, right?
Sir.
There are many times that I've spoken to people for hours and hours, and you know, like I'm sure that we've spoken many times before.
Sir.
It's not recorded, it's nowhere, right?
Sir.
Like our conversations are nowhere.
Sir.
So there's not like I'm getting in something in return and that's why I'm doing this.
Not
Many a
really,
times I'm
not
just
really.
happy to
Sir.
just see brother succeed, man. Like it makes me happy for real.
Allah,
So alhamdulillah,
Allah.
barakallah feek. I think, look,
Alhamdulillah.
inshallah it's been of benefit to everyone else watching this.
Sir.
But yeah, we'll conclude there.